probably well heard of Century. We've searched high and low on a bunch of different companies, and we've sorted them out and found that Century would do the best job for our community.
No, I left my memory card
They're
at home.
taking over next year, and this month, right? January, right? Starting January 1st, they'll be taking over. You folks should be getting some welcome letters in the mail, so just be aware of that.
All right, I just wanted to add to that. The welcome letter hasn't gone out yet, only because they're waiting on our finalized budget. So time is of the essence, and so that's why we're trying to get things as soon as we can completed so that we can approve a budget and they can send you guys a welcome letter. That's all. I forgot the other thing. Okay.
Let's see. Well, we've renewed our contract with Tri-Choice for landscaping, and we've also opened negotiations with Comcast, which is coming up on another ticket item there. And we're working right now towards looking at the budget, seeing what needs to be trimmed off, what shouldn't be there, and trying to figure out what we should or shouldn't have as a community on that. So with that, I'm going to move on to item number 3. Make sure that everybody has a proposed budget. Does everyone have a copy of the proposed budget?
Yes.
Okay.
What do we do?
So, and I remember what I was going to say earlier. Part of what we also got done, since we've been in office, I guess you could say we have done bids. We did several bids for the landscaping company. Some of you might know, because you were keeping up with the regular board meetings. And, but for those of you that don't know, we were doing lots of bidding and trying to get new contracts in place for the contracts that were not good for us, so including the management company. And so when it comes to the new proposed budget, I wanted to, number one, let you know that that should have been sent out by Melrose at the time that they sent you the notice for this meeting. I have no control over that not being sent to you, so I have no idea why it wasn't exactly. The same copy we have is the same one that they had. So I just wanted to put that out there because I know there was questions on why that wasn't out, and your guess is as good as mine as to why they did not mail that. That was our instructions to them. So having said that, we wanted to make sure we put them out so you could start taking a look at them at the beginning, since the beginning of the meeting, and so that you would be able to have more questions or anything like that, before we continue on now. Does anybody else have anything to say regarding the actual budget? Okay.
Questions? Questions or no?
Oh, not yet. Not yet.
We'll do questions in open forum. Thank you. Okay, item number 4, I'd like to mention that we reinstate Charlotte as secretary and treasurer.
Second.
Okay. What about Comcast? I don't know how many of you here are aware of what was going on with Comcast. We were trying to get a better deal as far as what they had to offer and what the community as a whole was using. And in the end, we decided to postpone redoing any contract so that we don't get any added expenses to the community until we get our feet on the ground next year with our new management company. But I still personally feel the best option is, my own personal opinion, is internet for everyone, because I don't think everyone has the same packages on the video, and you really difficult for me to try and tell somebody what they should spend on their cable TV. So at least that way there, we're all on a level playing field, and we all have the same thing as far as internet goes. So that's where we're at with that. We've decided to hold off until after the first of the year. So we didn't want to rush into that. Now it is open forum.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Mike,
could you please? Mike, Kevin.
I have a copy of Robert rules for you too.
Oh, the book. Yeah. Okay.
Marvin?
Pretty much everything.
On that welcoming letter, does that include the amount of dues? Is it going to go up or stay the same?
It'll be the same.
What?
One more thing.
Certainly.
See the cones out there on Grand Island Road? I talked to the one of the guys at the city, and he came out and checked that somebody was going to get hurt right there because that was very deep. That road needs to be retopped. It broke all to pieces, all the way up and down to there. And we understand the money was set aside by the builder to retop that road, correct?
I don't know if it was that.
Actually, there was negotiations of that, and I'll go back and reread it just to make sure, because it was quite a bit back when someone had first mentioned it at a meeting. But from what I understand, it was the traffic light that they finalized on and the sidewalk on the outside of the community. I'm not 100% certain that that was approved, even though it was requested. So I'll have to recheck, like I said, in the paperwork, because there are legal papers from 2005, 2006, 2007 that I had printed at one time and gone through. So I'll recheck on that part for you.
Yeah, it don't need to be patched. It needs to be retopped all the way.
Right, the whole road. And I think
It's
if
great.
anything, you know, depending on what happens with what was promised or whatever, you know, we can go forward.
Only in front of the entrances.
Okay. Tony?
That's me. Hello.
Hi.
With the new management company, I was under the impression they were going to be here this evening. Obviously, that's not happened because of, obviously, we're waiting, right? So that's okay. My biggest concern is making my January 1st payment for my dues. How is that happening? Do we have any information?
Mm-hmm. Same question I had.
Yes, about the payments,
We're
Century
getting
is
on the
prepared. Well, the reason they're not here is because originally, this meeting was set up by Melrose.
Mhm.
Okay, it was originally set up as a semi-annual meeting, and then it was changed to a board member meeting because we needed to do the budget. We ran out of time. So, having said that, Melrose was supposed to be here. So Century was gonna send a letter after this meeting with budgets and then be at our next meeting to introduce themselves personally and everything. So that's why the change happened. Now, as far as the dues are, you know, still technically due on the same time. However, Century, because of the switchover and how, you know, the time frame and everything, they have already said to us that they will be giving grace for people to pay their payments for the month of January, so you don't have to worry about it. There's not gonna be any type of late fees or anything like that for paying it in late January or something like that. Okay?
So I can put that money back in my Christmas fund?
I didn't say that.
Thank you.
I guess to go through the names first.
Robert?
Right here. On the same thing as what he was speaking about, will we receive something in the mail from them giving us an address where we can mail those payments?
Yes. we should be getting a welcome letter from them, welcome packet, and all the information we needed.
Including coupons.
Yep, including coupons.
The budget.
Wait a minute.
Okay, so you'll have 4 options to pay. There is, their office in varies, so you can go there to pay. You can pay through BB&T, which is how some people used to pay against Melrose before, because they have that bank. You can pay online, you can pay by phone. Missing any others? 'Cause I think there's one. Yeah. You can pay by check.
Just curious, are there different payments options, or is it just simply semi-annually?
It is semi-annually because that's how it's written in our
Right.
bylaws. However, what I do is I prepay. I basically just have my bank on a certain time, I have a budget, and I just, every time that time period comes up from my budget, I see what I need to pay, and I make my bank send them a check. So I send $92 every month, and then by the time my dues are due,
You're there.
everything's in. That's just, you have to, it's prepaid, like I said, so you have to be,
Yeah.
Nancy?
I have a lot of questions about this budget, so I don't know if this is the right place. But,
This is it.
well,
This is it.
okay, so while this space is like, let me pick an easy one. Okay, Hurricane Irma. That obviously wasn't budgeted, but it says we spent $520, I'm guessing, for cleanup. That didn't include all the cleanup, though, did it? Because I still have stuff behind my house that, okay. So, pool repairs, we made no pool repairs up to October 31st, 2017. Is that what
You're
that
on
means?
repairs now?
Because it's blank.
Year-to-date is blank, and full repairs.
It says we budgeted 3,500, but I guess we did spend any money on that? Your guess is as good as mine, is what I'm getting.
What did we repair?
Okay, Shauna's pulling up her notes because we did have also questions from Melrose when we did get the same numbers, okay? I can tell you as far as the 520 for Hurricane Irma, most likely included minor things like having a company take the tree that was leaning onto the road and stuff like that, okay? So, but no, you're right, the majority hasn't been done because, like I said at one of the meetings, when we saw where we were with our budgets, we needed to try to buy some time to do that. So, having said that, the pool repairs, did you have a particular insight on that one? Because as far as I know, there were pool repairs. I mean, there was,
Light adjustment
yeah, there was the light
to
issue.
the budget.
I don't know if it was added into the command maintenance maybe, is what they have in here.
Wasn't there a pump issue at some point or no?
I don't recall one issue now.
Yeah, and if you look at the cabana maintenance number, it's $5,000 more.
Well, that was also used for cameras.
So the cable service number, well, jumping back up to the top, I'm sorry, this is the first I've looked at it, so I'm not organized in all the budget. The year to date, 10/31/2017, we got 232,705. Is that a true number, that the money that actually came in?
That's by 10:30.
Okay.
Came in, went out.
Came in, income is in.
So, we didn't do any sign maintenance, so the cable money that was spent, that's actually at the community, what was plucked out of our HOA dues was the 88,955.
Correct.
Okay. And then, the CPA service. We don't utilize the CPA, do we?
We do, you file your taxes every year for HOA, so that's the CPA.
Okay. And then the meeting hall rentals so we went over budget this year.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is something that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I see. Why are the flowers dead again? Is the sprinkler broken?
We actually, should eliminate the flowers, because the flowers were there to attract buyers. So, you see that's like $2,000 on freaking flowers. So we're looking at cutting some fat, if you wanna save on this, and that would be the flowers. So maybe up by the sign, when you first pull in, say Grand Islands, maybe put some type of flower, low maintenance that can stay there. But the medians, just make that mulch there.
Okay.
So we are talking about that. They did ask us to replace the flowers. We said, hold off for right now because of the current budget situation that we are in.
But you say that, but, this says we have a reserve of $6,500. So the last, somewhere, and it may not have been true, that we were actually, had no reserve, we were actually running on a deficit. Is that
You're correct.
true?
So you gotta keep in mind the reserves is for the pool and for the, cabana. Okay, year to date, we should have close to $50,000 because when you do your estimates for the life of a pool or life of a cabana, you take that by 20 years. And each year you should have so much in the reserves. Well, as you see, we don't have $50,000 in the reserves.
Right.
We only have the 6,000 plus a couple from last year. So you can't account for the reserves in the expenses. Does that make sense? Because you can't, that's to replace, to resurface the pool, to redo the roof of the cabana. That's why you have your hurricane, or not your hurricane, but your pool maintenance, your cabana maintenance is a separate budget for those additional expenses. So does that make sense of the reserves is,
It does.
okay.
Just in case.
Clarify one more thing on that. The reserves is basically untouchable, so it says 6,000, you know, what is the number, 6,500 you said. So that amount is still there, it's reserved, but we cannot touch it unless it is, you know, done the right way, okay? And so that's not an amount that we can take from it. I think what she's trying to say is it's not an amount we can take from to, you know, fix the flowers or do this or, you know, do the other. Having said that, the flowers, I already spoke to Tri-Choice about it. Those flowers were put in not too long ago. They were supposed to last the season. They weren't supposed to die out like that. So I spoke to him and I told him that that needs to be replaced because just like I can go to Lowe's and buy plants and if they die within a certain time I can return them, that should be the same way, to which I was told that's never how it works commercially. So having said that, you know, we're still working that out. So that's why you see the dead flowers there. But like Shauna said, we are trying to work out a different, now, that reminds me, this budget, once approved, is an estimation of what, you know, the most would be that we would spend on certain areas. But we are still working on bringing this down, okay? That's our goal because we want to try to put into our reserves. So just keep that in mind, that is our mindset. Our mindset is not, oh, well, we have $3,000 in this budget, let's just blow it on that, you know, whatever. No, that's not the case. We are still trying to go through but, you know, for the sake of time, we're rolling over the same budget and we are going to continue to work on, you know, trimming it down. If that makes any sense.
The water
Come on.
master meter irrigation, what happened there?
Yeah, we're really upset about that one. That's being investigated with the city of Eustis as well as with all the bills, you know, that Melrose had gotten. Honestly, it doesn't make any sense to anybody, including the irrigation company. I mean, not the irrigation company, the landscape company. So they are looking into it, they have our meter readings, and they're trying to, number one, fix it so that there's no issues going forward. Okay, see where the problem is, even trying to what we paid and why. So that's what we're looking at.
Do we know if there are any leaks in the system somewhere? There
Not that
could
we
be broken
know of.
heads and water spraying all over the road.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's being checked. That we know of, we haven't seen any that are, just spiking up, but there could be something underground, and it's really just,
They watered it
And
in the too,
it's
so.
odd.
Yeah.
It's odd because, let's say, I think it was like a January and then a March and a June. So it wasn't a consecutive month. So if you think it's a leak, you would see it every month, and that wasn't the case. So yes, we are reaching out to the city of Eustis and with Century to look at those expenses and why.
Who runs the sprinkler?
Come
Who
on.
has control of that sprinkler?
it's a set program.
So,
I think
and
by
now-
Tribe
by
Choice.
Tribe Choice.
That's it.
is the one.
And Tribe Choice is supposed to inspect that monthly, every
They're
month?
supposed to inspect the heads, make sure everything's working, that there's nothing that's, not popping up, or that, nothing that's leaking or broken. That's the type of inspection they do monthly. But like I said, they are looking a little deeper now because of this.
And, what is miscellaneous administrative expense?
Mailings, postage, copies.
Copies of what? Because we never get any in mail, so where's the copy?
It could have been the copies for, you have to think back, this budget started back in January.
Right.
So with Melrose doing the mail outs, the turnover and the meetings, what they printed out here,
Remember that glossy letter they sent in about committees?
that too.
Fun.
So, we also had, your legal expenses increase, so you have to look at that as well in the administrative cost. So, Century is trying to ask for receipts because they're mentioning that our administrative, cost should not be that high. So we're trying to get receipts on that to see exactly as well why it's.
So going forward, with, the new management company, are you gonna ask to see expenses monthly? Is there gonna be like not an audit necessarily, but a little more control? Because I kind of personally feel like we were well with it.
I agree.
We, that's why we're in the situation that we're in moving forward and getting a new company. Melrose did send us a report monthly, okay? There was discussion among the board members, who went back to Melrose and got a different answer. So, we have things to work out as a board. You can't always trust a management company because I don't feel they have the best interest of our monies. And we're learning as well here with one another and working with one another. So this was out of control. I don't think Melrose expected anybody to come in and really look at it and analyze it. But when we started to and asking them questions, they cut me off. They cut Lisa off. They would only talk to Mike.
I would have put the lid on in there.
Yeah, phone calls were made, because we started asking questions. And numbers don't lie. So, there's some shady stuff that was going on. We are looking into it. Moving forward, also you have to look at, when you look at the income, Class A, we should have $285,000, but we don't.
Well, but this is only through October, so you still have 2 more months to add to that, right?
But everybody has already paid their, supposedly paid their dues. You pay your dues in January and June. I kind of sat back when I was looking at the budget for June and July, because I said, okay, people should start paying their dues, and it'll bump us up. That wasn't the case.
How many empty houses?
I don't think there's that many empty houses. It's just people are not current on their HOA
That's the problem.
Yeah, so what do we?
And also, there were legal fees, because we are trying to go and, put liens and whatever it is, so that's another, part of that administration fee is also getting that, started, because I do know that Melrose did start the process in a lot of those. And there was a lot.
Since you brought that up, so it says legal expense, $1,840, but then uncollectible bad debt expense, $180. What's the difference? What's the $180? Is that postage and envelope?
Why is there a difference between the budget and the year-to-date on the uncollectible bad debt expense? That doesn't quite.
We're actually gonna eliminate that line, cause is that the bad expense, bad debt that we're trying to collect on? So they're saying like over 4,000 and we only collected 180. We're actually gonna, I think, remove that line item and put it.
So
in
is this
something
the
else.
budget you're gonna be voting on, or is it gonna change?
So,
This is a proposal.
yeah,
And we're voting on the changes we're making to this budget, if any, and then whatever changes are made, then that would be the new budget.
but you have to look at it is, I wanna be honest, we're kicking the can. We're in the negatives.
Well, I'm not begrudging
And,
you. I'm
yeah,
just
no, no.
understanding that this is the first opportunity as homeowners we've had to ask questions about this.
Exactly.
This is the first time I've looked at it, so it's like, and to actually see, okay, so if these are true numbers, this is what came in, and this is what went out, it's like, oh, hello.
Yes. Yeah.
That should send a, red flag to anybody that there's some work.
And there were some, according to Shauna, there were some of those unpaid accounts since this, October 31st that did get paid after. So even though the year-to-date says a certain amount, just keep that in mind, that some money did come in after that.
So if you ask me, what will happen if we have to resurface the pool? Where are you gonna get that money? Nowhere. So what's gonna happen? We're gonna have to, every homeowner can say, special assessment, because we don't have it in our reserves. So, we are working on, with Century, to research why isn't it in the reserves? And what action can we take? Because if it's supposed to be there, where is it? My concern is the reserve, along with all this budget. But we need to have that money in the reserves, and in order to have that money in the reserves, do you assign a special assessment? Or do you wait to see if we can recover the reserves? What is going on? Or do you increase everybody's fees by $5 a month? And then once we get to that reserves of 50,000, anything additional would go into an unallocated reserve. Because we're not carrying any money over right now. The builder has always taken the excess or paid in more. So we don't have any unallocated reserves to spend.
Time to get there. I mean, it's gonna take some time to get this.
Exactly.
Let me ask you a question about the reserves and like the general maintenance. So,
Wait,
you know, you
one
said that
second.
this first reserve thing here is cabana and pool maintenance?
Excuse me, 1 second, I'm so sorry, but we need to, I don't know if she's done with her questions.
She
I
need
also
to be.
want Say something about what she said, and I promise I'll get to everybody in order, I promise. With regards to
Rehash it again.
what you brought up as far as the reserves. I spoke to our new management company, okay, and explained, to try to get some feedback, okay? And I cannot make any promises, but
She has to
there
go by the
are
names
things that
that's
we're
written.
working on, like Shauna
She's
said,
taking up
that
too
be
much
more
time.
specific. There are things that we're working on to get the money back from Cal Atlantic, legally. So that is stuff that we're starting to kind of delve into, and they're kind of coaching us through it to do that. So there may be a way that we can get that reserve put back without us having to do a special assessment.
Because
Or
wasn't that conversation from before that Melrose cut them a check before things were squared away when the builder walked out? like nobody's gave them money back. That
As far as I
should be
know-
used.
As far as I know, we always had a deficit toward them, or according to Melrose, we owed the builder money, which
But I don't know that's even true.
you don't. And actually, the only way they could recuperate it is if they do an audit, and they would have to, pay for that to be able to do that. So, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, we feel something's owed to us, and that's $50,000.
Is the builder required to leave a reserve for a community like this?
The previous board is required to have set up a reserve. And so, but like I said, that is what we all understand from the bylaws and the statutes. So we're still working on getting all the details worked out as to by when they have to have it, whether it had to be there at the beginning, whether it was something that was being worked on, and why wasn't it, and do they have just cause? I mean, there's a lot of different things going on, so we're trying to work on that.
Okay, next on our list is Kevin.
About the reserves, clear up exactly how this works, because you've got these reserve, this first line here about reserve right under Class A, that's 3 different things, right? Pool maintenance, cabana maintenance, and like a general, I thought there was one like 500 thing that was like a general reserve too, no? So, why, if we have that, I mean, I understand that the reserve is supposed to be capital improvements and repairs. So why are we having a separate standard general budget item for those items too? Why are we not just funding the reserve, and so that we make sure that the pool maintenance funds and the cabana maintenance funds aren't commingled with the other funds? And likewise, same question about stormwater drainage. Right here, you've got $5,000 in the budget, but they never spent any money on it. I've asked for records, and they won't give me a record of whether they spent any money on this stuff. This says 0, but now you've got the same $5,000 in the budget again for the following year, when you didn't spend any money on it the first year. So why have a general budget item for an item that is already covered by a reserve account?
It's not
It's not what?
covered by your reserves.
What?
Is there a pool maintenance?
Contract, yes.
No, a pool maintenance reserve account.
No.
For
That's
$4,000?
That's your pool maintenance.
What's the
Or your
reserve?
pool report.
I thought when we looked at the chart,
Kevin, when you have a bill, when you build a building, it depreciates.
I
So
realize
much.
that.
Okay.
But if you read the description of what the reserve accounts are for, it says capital improvements, repairs and maintenance, unexpected maintenance. Resurfacing the pool is unexpected maintenance.
Yes,
Right.
but not a pool maintenance every month is not unexpected.
Right.
Correct?
If the pump fails, that's unexpected. So what is why is there so much money for pool repairs? It says right there, pool repairs. Why, the reserves, when you read what they're supposed to be, capital improvements and repairs.
But
And the
not
same
your
thing-
standard repairs, Kevin. In 20 years, where are you gonna get the money to or actually 9 years or 10 years to resurface that pool? If you keep dipping out of your monthly expenses for the pool testing, pool chemicals, pool cleaning, whatever you wanna think about for the pool, you want to dip into the reserves for that? That's not what a reserve account is for. It's your maintenance. So you have to have it separate.
And
Why do you want to mingle all your
I guess I'll just have to show you guys what the text is that talks about what a reserve account is for. It's right there. Capital improvements, repairs and maintenance, unexpected maintenance. I get that you have to have a little bit for regular things like testing, whatever, cleaning, but come on.
So what you're saying is that you would like for us to consider bringing down the 5,000 pool maintenance that goes into pool maintenance, as you call it.
No, what I'm getting at is that when they put $5,000 in the prospective budget for stormwater drainage, and then they never spend any of that money on stormwater drainage, they collected that money from all of us. Where does it go? What was it spent on? If
It's
it's,
on the account, so that when that job does need to be done, which needs to be done every so often.
then why doesn't the account show that there's extra $5,000?
That's right.
Because you can't count that as your, net.
There's-
You can't count that as part of your working budgets. You can't, it's a separate amount. You can't add it to what it is that you have. So when we say that we're in the red, for example, we can't take from that. We have to work with our working budgets now.
If it's a reserve account, you can't take from it. If it's a standard general account, then you can. And that's the problem, is that they've got this stormwater drainage, this stormwater management in the general budget and not as the reserve account. They're commingling the fund. Again, you guys have nothing to do with this. I realize that. I realize that you're only just now catching on to what they were doing. But you're adding that same $5,000 into the budget again for next year. And here's the thing, I searched the St. John's the Water Management District permit site today. There is no record of annual inspections on their site. Our covenants require an annual inspection. Now that's a little bit different from the permit documents from the city and the St. John's Water Management. They require every 2 years. But again, you look back at the budgets, they've been collecting this money and not spending it on that stuff. And it's in the general account with all the other money, which means that $5,000 they've been collecting from us every year for the past 5 years that I've lived here, they've been spending it on other stuff. It's wrong.
Because it's in a general.
Exactly, and it shouldn't be, because you've got a specific reserve account that's supposed to prevent the commingling of those funds. And it was
Yeah,
never.
but you just said that you wanted to put everything into the reserves.
No,
Yes, pool maintenance and.
no,
He ain't said it.
no.
He ain't said it.
On that point, Kevin,
I-
we all agree that those should be, like you said, in a reserve account instead of not. Okay, we all agree on that.
But you're
Now,
approving a
going
budget with,
forward- Hang on, we're going forward saying that we would like to still collect that amount. Here's why. We don't have the $7,000 reserve that we were supposed to have for that particular line item. Therefore, whatever money we can save in a separate budget, and so that we can add it to a reserve, we're gonna try to do that. So that is why I'm okay with that line item being
but if you continue,
saved out of our.
if you
working
continue to
budget.
leave it in the budget as a general account item, then the money can be spent on other things. If it's not specifically in the reserve account, that's what, it can be used for. For the past 5 years at least, I know they've been using this $5,000 that they were supposed to spend on stormwater management on other things. Why even give us the budgets that tells us they're gonna spend that money if they're just gonna move the money around?
Sit
So,
on it.
let me just, I don't want to argue with it about it anymore. I'd rather just move on. I
No
mean,
one wasn't
go
arguing
ahead.
about anything. I just want to clarify also that there are maintenance, items,
Expenses?
expenses, thank you, that we are actually in the process now of starting to need to pay. For example.
Cleaning the
with-
catch basin.
Yeah, we just got we just got an email from the storm management, department, okay, in the city.
When?
So, probably about 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Probably.
So, having
Just want to
said
make sure it
that-
wasn't today,
Yeah,
after I went to their office.
probably.
Okay, and,
Probably.
okay, and by the way, when Century helped us work on this budget that you have, one of the things that they outlined for us to work on, to change it, proposing us to talk about today at this meeting, is to actually make that amount into a reserve, not a regular line item from our working budgets.
Well, we are
Yeah, I
going
mean,
to.
well, I mean,
In the-
right now, I might as well just say miscellaneous, right?
Right.
But,
It's a miscellaneous budget.
we're trying to understand each other, number one, and
What was
we're trying to understand each other. Nobody's arguing, we just want to understand each other, number one. Number two, there are expenses, and we need to keep this in mind, that are gonna come up because, like I said, we started getting those, emails and we need to start looking into these things.
Right. Moving on. Back at the beginning of the year, I went round and round with the old board president and Melrose trying to get a copy of their contract, Melrose's contract with us. When you look at it, it says that they were being paid $7 per lot. When you look at this number, they're now being paid $7.72 per lot, per month. And I see that the number for 2017 is the same as the number for 2018. So you're telling me that you're paying the new Century Management the same amount?
That's
No,
what.
our amount that
That's
we're
what I
paying
wanted
the
to-
new company is $5, and I thought this was.
We're just trying to roll this out to say it's gonna stay the same. We're not doing an increase and we're not doing an increase. We've gotta get this through. So within the next 6 months, they're going to make adjustments and move from there. So the money that we are gonna save from the management company is gonna be put into another allocation.
Fine, I get that.
Okay.
What am-
We're
What-
paying, just to answer your
So
question.
you're paying what is it, $5.50
$5
something?
and it's around 50 something cents.
So significantly less than
Yes.
Melrose was originally.
Yes.
Have you guys investigated how Melrose's payment went from $7 to
Yes.
$7.72?
The contract was, I guess you could say old, and after a certain time, it did start going up.
So they must have an increase in sales.
So that's a 10% raise in
However many
in 7
it
years.
was.
So, the final thing.
And you know what, Mike, about the, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Why do I
That's all
keep saying Mike?
Go
I
ahead.
keep saying Mike.
Because you have a mic in your
It's
hand.
stuck in my head. His name is stuck in my head. Okay, sorry about that, Kevin. When we priced out other management companies, that wasn't unheard of, as far as $7.50, $7.30, $7.60. So
No.
they're right on par with what everybody else is charging.
All I'm asking is that you guys have followed the paper trail to make sure that Melrose didn't just raise their own rate on their own.
Exactly.
Because you've said yourself, they're
Ex-
shady.
ex-
Everybody who's paying attention to them knows they're shady. So that's all I'm asking is to make sure that you follow that thing. So, which reminds me one other thing about their contract. They included in that contract that they are required to maintain a $100,000 fidelity bond. I don't know if you guys know how that what that works. You know, I had to look it up to get exactly the description. A fidelity bond is a form of insurance protection that covers policyholders for losses that they incur as a result of fraudulent actions by specified individuals. It usually insures a business for losses caused by the dishonest acts of its employees. So, if you guys are investigating and believe you found some financial improprieties, have you taken the step of notifying the bondholder?
We're just starting it.
Their contract ends at the end of the year, right? If you don't notify the bondholder by the end of
Before.
their contract, it seems like that might be an issue.
Northern involved.
Might be a clause in there.
No, I.
Maybe there is, I don't know.
And that is,
I just don't want you to think that you have no recourse.
no, I understand, and we do, and we are, I promise you, we have been looking into this, this is not the first, that we've been talking about this, so I promise you, this is something that we are looking into as far as what is our recourse and how long we have to submit whatever claims and anything that we need to do with the DPR, et cetera.
Okay, and is that the results of these investigations of yours, is that something you're going to share with everyone?
All our board meetings are public, so you'll know as soon as we start talking about it.
I have a question.
Hold on, one more thing.
Okay, go
The last thing was, I requested that you guys write a rule so that the new management company would know to provide financial records electronically. They've refused to do so. For anybody, nobody knows what's going on here. For the last several weeks, I've been trying to get Melrose to give me the financial records in electronic form so that I can verify what they've been spending on the stormwater drainage. They've been giving me the runaround. They will not do it. They keep saying, come into the office, look at the paper records, and dig through 7 years of file boxes. Statute allows for the association, at their option, to provide those records electronically. Melrose says the option has not been taken. I've asked the board to vote to direct them to provide those things, and I don't know why you guys don't want to do that, but if you won't do that, at least, please, make some written rules so that the new management company understands that when a member calls in and says, I want to see the financial records, that they don't give you the runaround and make you come in and dig through reams and reams of paper when they've already got all this information entered into their accounting software in an easily sortable, searchable way, right? It took me 3 weeks to get Melrose to tell me the name of their accounting software. Tops Accounting. I called the sales rep for Florida today. She tells me their software is perfectly capable of exporting Excel spreadsheets for newer versions and CSV files, comma separated values, for older versions. So if they're telling you they can't do it, it's ridiculous.
There would be a cost associated with doing that.
The cost, and it says that as long as it's not more than 30 minutes or more than $20, that they have to do it, take a few minutes. I mean, if they want to give me a charge, provide me an invoice, a prospective invoice as to how much it would be.
And you're allowed to print up so many pages. That's in.
Right, but again, you guys could just direct them to provide the records. It's an option. You don't have to do it. If you don't tell them to do it, they won't. I'm asking you to tell them.
We originally, when you first asked, we did ask them to post them on the website so that it'd be easily downloadable.
How did you ask them?
Good question.
Is the way that they work.
Good question.
If you don't take an official action, they just continue to
There
do
is-
what they
but-
think
but
is right.
Statutory, there is no official action. All we asked Century was from here on out, can you make sure to put them, and they agreed. Okay?
So Century has no problem with it.
No. So my point is, this is moving forward, correct? Moving forward with Century, that they have no problem with it. Now,
What about-
some websites will only hold a certain amount of years of information on there, okay? So there are some limitations as far as the website and how much information as far as statements it can hold or whatever. So we have our new management company looking into that part of it, so we know how far back we can post on them, okay? But as far as us giving them permission to post something, there is no vote needed, and I even confirmed that. There is, that's why it's not on the agenda. There is no vote needed. Nothing we say can make Melrose do it.
Want to bet?
Their contract, there's a specific
Yeah.
section in their contract that
Wanna
says
bet?
that the agent is required to take action when directed by the board.
Exactly.
However,
No, ain't no.
as they see it, they have taken action.
They've taken action in your stead. If you don't tell them what the rule is, they're going to do what they want.
In writing.
I mean,
in writing.
To them, Kevin.
Why can't you take a vote, and if all three of you agree, why can't you take a vote that says the rule is accounting files will be available electronically to any member that requests it? I don't understand why you can't do that.
Any type of.
It's in the Florida
rule
statute.
is an amendment to our bylaws, okay? And you know how that works as far as amendments to our bylaws, okay? That's number one. Number two, we
BS.
cannot force, there's nothing, I've even asked, I've checked, and there is nothing that we can do to keep them from doing it our way. They have still the option of how they will give it to you electronically. So, nothing we do, what we do is gonna change what they can do in that way. Now,
So
you
if I
can
go into
take
their
them-
office with a USB drive, will they give it to me?
Yes.
You're supposed to.
Electronic files on thumb drive.
We receive the statements monthly.
You wanna go with me?
It's not
Yeah, I'll go with-
into the software, it's on format, it's not in Excel, it's in a format that they send us every month.
What format?
PDF.
Is it a PDF?
Should be PDF.
Yeah,
See, a PDF is just a print. I want the data.
you're not gonna get the data, we don't even get it,
We get a
we
PDF.
don't get it. So,
But you will be getting it from the new management company?
what's your agenda, Kat? Because Century is.
My agenda is to make sure that the homeowners can follow what's happening with the accounting. And if we have to go into the office and look at reams and reams of paper, it's.
So go. So go.
That's Who prepared this budget?
That's,
Who?
that's a good question.
Who,
Did you guys
who
know
prepared?
Melrose
Who
did it?
prepared this budget? It's $24,000 for management fees. How much is Central? Well, how much is Central going to charge
Let me
us?
get back to Kevin here though. We have like 10 days left with Melrose. We're finding things out with Century's help about Melrose. What can we do? What would you like to see, Kevin, moving forward? Don't
I would like
talk
to
about
see-
past.
I would like-
It's done.
I would like someone to confirm for me whether or not there have been any expenditures for the stormwater drainage system for the last 7 years. That
And
was
we
my
are checking
original,
into that.
that was my original request to Melrose, and they refused.
We are, Century is looking into that.
And because they refused, that makes me suspicious. And that's why I want to see the whole thing,
It made me suspicious as well.
you know? And I'm worried now that, you know, Melrose is going to tell Century, well, we don't have any of those old records, here's the file box.
Exactly.
And then there's no way for us, without
Exactly.
spending hours and hours and hours of going in and re-entering all that data, which we've already paid them to do,
Paid them to do.
can't search it.
But how are you gonna solve that? It's done, it's over with, we're moving forward.
New.
If the management company can't do it, are you gonna do it? I mean, do you even know what you're looking at and how to put it in? No, so leave it for the management company.
I think you're assuming a lot about what I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing is, y'all need to hire.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Before I brought up the missing $7,000 reserve account for the stormwater drainage, did any of you notice it?
We are looking over the budget.
Did you notice it?
Did you notice it?
Yes,
Before I said something?
yes. It's all about you, Kevin.
My
Keep us on track, thank you.
You look very
My
surprised.
question is, why you haven't tied up loose ends with Melrose to get accountability of every nickel and dime they have collected? You're gonna put the carriage before the horse, change into a new management company? That's
Okay, we're gonna continue on, we have.
where's my answer?
I believe, you can ask as soon as it's your turn, sir.
So please, everybody, in the essence of decorum here, let's just try and keep to the list. Next on the list, we have Verdan.
I think it was mentioned last year when we had a meeting here with Melrose. She said that if we wanted to, we could somehow change and get 5 people on the board instead of 3.
Yes.
Is there any?
Actually, that's a very good idea going forward. You have to, I mean, let's look at the 3 of us, the only 3 names that went in.
Yes, I
So, I
understand.
mean,
But you can add.
understand that.
That's what
Yeah.
happened. That's why I'm saying,
And
yeah,
I
let's
thank
fight
you
it.
guys, I thank you guys for what you're doing. Please, I just have wondered about that over the years.
5, I'll tell you why we need 5 members, is none of us can meet and talk about anything to do with the community, because it constitutes a quorum. It becomes a meeting, we have to, the public knows it and want it and everything else. So, at least if we have 5 people, we have a couple of board members maybe working on some research, on some background things to bring it to another meeting, and then report on it at a regular board meeting, and then move forward from there.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It would
Yeah.
surely help your.
They're allowed to call
I mean,
a emergency meeting without notice.
They sure are.
We can,
I just was asking if there was any thought on that.
yes, there is.
Okay.
Yes, we are allowed to do that. However,
However,
again, let's keep in mind the fact that every change we make to our bylaws, to our documents, okay, and our documents include how the board is structured.
Right.
Okay, so right now, our documents are written to where we can only have 3. Now, yes, we can change that, but any changes, you're talking about more money, you're talking about reporting documents with the city, you're talking about legal costs because they have to be stamped and there's a lot of expenses. And I'm not saying that they're not doable, they are, but keep that in mind. Whenever we bring up, we can change this, we can change that, we can change a lot of things, okay? But everything that we do needs to be thought out as far as our budgets and as far as, making sure we have the money to be able to do something like that and then go forward with it. None of us have a problem with doing that.
Well, I understood it had to be voted on by the
Yes,
majority.
please, I have to disagree with that, because in So I wanna look into that more because we need to get it done and it shouldn't cause, because it says 3 to 5 from time to time.
Exactly.
But there's also papers in our documents, and I'll find them, where it talks about that right now the board is structured with 3, and it speaks of the 3 different offices.
Okay, well, I didn't understand that part of that was a big,
But we will look into
big
it.
problem.
This
Yeah.
1100 is very.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you know, I just wanted to ask about it. Also, I was wondering about the committees, that I didn't get a form in to be on a committee, I neglected to get it done. But so I just wondered if any of those committees, did you get any people for those committees? Are they up, are they?
We had 3 people volunteer.
Okay.
We had more since.
Yeah, I know everybody.
4 people for 3 committees, and we need 3 people per committee.
Okay, so
We
you
really haven't had enough.
you haven't had enough. Okay,
Participation.
that's what I was wondering.
But
the
going
status.
forward, we're pretty excited with Sentry. They're gonna have an app that you can get on your phone, and a pretty progressive website, pretty good communication out there. I think that we'll be able to reach more people.
How much longer do you think it'll be before the hurricane damage is fixed there in the Central Parkway area?
If you get people pay their fees, we'll get it done as soon as possible. I mean, it's finances, right now, our problem is finances.
So we don't, the problem is money, right? Okay.
Yes.
And I just wanted to just say about the flowers. Now, I agree, I was upset those flowers died. If you get rid of flowers and stuff in there and just put mulch, maybe that'll look okay, but you know, you say, well, the homes are all sold now, so that's not as important. Any of us could have to sell our house
Exactly.
this year, and that Central Parkway to me is very important. That's their first impression when they drive in. If that is not kept immaculate and looking nice, me as a potential buyer, I'll leave. You know, because that's a very negative thing. So, I mean, I'm not criticizing. I know the money, you guys are doing great. I just wanted to say that, you know, the few flowers there would probably help, but 2,000 is a lot of money. I agree with you on that.
We just want to decrease the amount, not completely cut them off.
Okay, okay.
Personally, I feel the same way. I think that, it's not just for value wise. I think that, you know, for our enjoyment, I mean,
Right.
we want our community to look nice, you know, we want to be able to see a little color, you know? So just because we bring it down, doesn't mean we have to eliminate it.
If it's, you know, if it's too much, you maybe even just put some bushes in there then and just keep them green. I mean, I don't necessarily care if there's flowers, but just so it looks, that's all I have to
But
say.
some areas, like the planter, for example, where the Grand Island Reserve, nothing wrong with a little color, you know? But, you know, in other areas, we can, you know, put something else.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Let's see, Michael?
I think I had a lot of questions on the budget, but I think they're all pretty extensive. What I was wondering, you know, when we say we're moving forward, does Melrose owe us money? And are we then just walking away from any money that perhaps legally belongs to us?
Yep.
And, you know, would it be necessary to have a lawyer, and whether you all have gone through this process of thinking, you know, how do we get where they've made, you know, where we got shady things that maybe they've been charging and we haven't been getting?
There are line items that did not make a lot of sense to us, and I'm sure they're not making a lot of sense to all of you out here. So we are looking into several things, and we have people looking into them for us on everyone's behalf. So to answer your question, yeah, there are some things we're looking at recouping in some form or fashion, so.
And if we needed to get council involved for that, then we will do whatever it takes, because we don't want to walk away from their money.
All been in the drought. I mean, all of us. I mean, we're first year community board members, and for years the builder was chief cook and bottle washer. I mean, the builder was the board, and Melrose dealt one agenda, sell homes, for people in here. I mean, now we're here for everyone, for all of us, we're all neighbors. So now we're looking at the books and things are not jiving with us, so we're looking deeper in the books, and we're having people help us with it. So we're trying to see where things were at and how they got to where they are.
BS.
But does it look like we may need some additional legal help?
Legal.
In order to have things happen?
That's a possibility.
Can't roll that out, no.
Y'all don't know how to ask for stuff.
Jim and Phyllis?
Question about various houses within our community. How many of those are being rented out versus the owner living in?
Why?
Because I'm curious.
We can't hear, people are talking.
He asked, sorry about that, guys. He asked what the ratio was of renters to owners in the community. And what I was telling him is we had originally been told that number when we first came in, but I don't want to tell him wrong, by any number. So I would rather, look into it again and just let you know.
Because early on, one of the legal developers was here. They said that they do not provide that information, or it can be as many as could be. And I think that really could be a problem when it comes to the okay, so they're not paying their annual fees. Are the owners paying it, or is it the
Well, when
renter?
I also say owner to rental ratio is what we have, not necessarily whether it's allowed or whether it isn't allowed. Now, I've never heard that they, don't have a cap, but it doesn't surprise me because usually the only communities that have a cap on that are like active adult communities and stuff like that. Having said that,
To answer your question, is up to the owner of the home, is it they want to cover the HOA, or if they increase that in your rental. And then, of course, that's a trickle effect. If I want to rent my house for $1,000, I'm going to increase it, for the HOA, so it's $1,600. But are you going to get the money from the renter and then from the homeowner to the association? So I don't know how many homes we have that are rentals. But by looking at the list, I think those are homeowners that I see that owe. And we have, I think, one or two that we are putting liens on, and they do owe more than a couple $100. But every little
More than a couple
hundreds
hundred.
of dollars add up.
$50,000.
Just real quick, unrelated.
By this.
What action is the board taking to restrict access to these people to the amenities? Because you do have that right.
Yes.
do that.
Yes, we do.
Take away their pool fee.
They jumped the fence.
Yes, we do have that right on paper. Okay? But like you said, it is, like she said, it is.